Hey all, just thought I'd kind of pop back on here, just watching some of the post-debate commentary and some of the peanut gallery reviews on who won last night, and just thought I'd kind of put a couple of points out. There's one thing in particular I wanted to kind of talk about, or at least mention, and that is, number one, I continue to not think there's many people that are in the middle can't quite figure out which way to go. I think you're pretty hard on one side or the other. There's probably very few people in the middle. For anybody that doesn't listen to Trump and only watch the mainstream media, I mean, they've got most of those people completely snowed on the reality. So, and I think in a lot of ways it was kind of obvious last night. That's a big part of what's going on, is because when Trump was talking about things going on with Hunter Biden, when he kind of mentioned, some of those points, and Biden just out and out said that's a lie, which for those people that are paying attention to the details and kind of looking at what's really going on, I mean, there's a laptop, there's pictures, there's video, all that stuff is out there, and Biden just blatantly lied and said denied. So, I mean, he's clearly in the camp of deny. Anyway, that's a little bit of an aside. I mean, the one point I wanted to make, and that is the ball and chain that the establishment has kind of put around Trump with the COVID China virus is kind of a delicate balance. And here's the challenge that I think Trump has, that he's dealing with, and that is, I want a leader to basically make me feel better about what's really going on, but at the same time aggressively working to fix the problem. And I think Trump has done a lot. If you have been watching a lot of the COVID-19 kind of response and what they're doing to mitigate and get rid of it, they have done a lot. There has been a very strong concerted effort with all the people, the respective people, to deal with and resolve and make this go away. He did shut down the country early when everybody else basically criticized him for doing so. So that did happen. He's got the CDC, he's got the pharmaceuticals, he's got industry engaged. They're doing aggressive testing, and there is therapeutics coming out and out. So anyway, there has been a very strong, effectively a SWAT team to address this issue. So when Biden says he's done nothing and he has no plan, I mean, to me, that's just out and out a lie, as ever there was a lie. If you are paying attention, and I think who Biden's talking to is his core supporters that don't listen to Trump, that don't watch the press briefings, that don't listen and look outside the bubble the propaganda mainstream media has created. If you're not looking outside that and you're just listening to the emotional rhetoric that's coming out of them, you probably believe what Biden's saying. I apologize, I'm driving and talking and trying not to hurt anybody. Anyway, so again, even though in some ways, I guess you could nitpick, what Trump says around, the response to COVID and the increased COVID, cases, and he's right. I mean, the more you test, the more you're going to vet out and find those people that are infected. Now, we also know, so anyway, I don't want to get off track here. My only point I wanted to make is he has spun to some degree the numbers and explained it to some degree, but his key point, which you need to be mindful of, is that you don't want the cure to be worse than the problem. You don't want the cure to be worse than the virus. So I want a leader to make me feel safe and secure, while at the same time leading and aggressively solving the problem. I don't want to be put in fear A good leader will not put its people in fear to a point where the country is shut down more than it already is. I mean, I think the mainstream media has done a fantastic job, in a bad way, in making people fearful and huddling in their homes and wearing masks and being freakish about masks and not being exposed to people, to a fault. They really have. And that's what we don't want. We want our country open back up. A down/depressed economy can be worse than the problem itself. So that is what Trump is doing. I don't think he's even consciously doing. That's just what a good leader does. I'm gonna mitigate fear so that you can continue your day-to-day life while I help you mitigate the risks associated with it, so you don't come down with it, and our economy continues to move forward. That's what he's doing. So to me, that was a key point last night when he was talking about that. Some people slighted him, said he did a poor job on the COVID response, and I don't think he did a poor job at all. I think he knocked it out of the park, given a bad situation that China put on us. So I think people need to not lose sight of the fact that China was behind this, whether it's purposeful or not. That's another discussion. Biden is a pro-China advocate, and it's becoming more and more clear that he's in their pockets, and there's evidence coming out daily around that between him and Hunter and his benefits behind it. And anyway, that was key. Another key thing that was noted last night was, and I continue to think of it this way as well, is that Biden has been in office for nearly half a century, and there's nothing to show for it. If you want to look at the positive pro-American stuff that he may have done, he was in office for 8 years with Obama, and all these things. This is why Trump. And the other thing is, this is why Trump is in office. He left the luxurious, wonderful world that he was in because our politicians were dragging us into the gutter and turning us into not a world leader, but a world follower. That's where it was going, and that's why I voted for him, because I was tired of politicians making promises and not doing anything. And Trump rightfully called it out last night and said, the reason why I'm here, I wish he would have been stronger with that point and would have said, you know what, I'm mad at you and your brethren because I had to leave the world that I was in to save this country because you were dragging it into the ditch, and people voted me in office because of people like you. I wish you would have gone there. So in any event, if there was anyone watching last night, and I don't think there's really many people on the fence, if any at all, if there's anybody on the fringes of a pro-Biden support, I think we probably pulled them across. So the two things I wanted to highlight was the COVID ball and chain, why he does what he does. Outside of politics, outside of Washington, a leader leads by mitigating your fears so you can continue to function, and aggressively works to solve the problem. That's what they do, and I love the fact that we've got that kind of leader in office doing just that. I wish there was a way that going forward, our president could be someone like Trump every time. We need someone from the private sector that's not a politician that can lead. And Trump is a once-in-a-lifetime kind of person. He does things and gets away with things that nobody else can get away with. But in any event, just a few points that I wanted to put out there that really struck me, and is a little contrary to the marketing propaganda engine that's out there and things that they're saying. In every sense of the word, I think Trump did a fantastic job. That the COVID response is a weakness, but I think in the true spirit of what he can do and what he has been done, I think he's done a fantastic job. And I don't think if Biden would have been in that position, looking at how he addressed the H1N1 virus, it would have been a complete and utter disaster. It really would have. So, in any event, that was it. And then I guess just a closing point, the moderator last night, and her name escapes me all of a sudden, but surprisingly, she did a pretty good job. I think she stayed out of the way. She teed up the question. She directed question, unlike Chris Wallace, who seemed to want to monopolize the talking points, and he spoke forever, and he was spoken over because he wouldn't shut up and just ask a simple question. I think she did a great job. She was she was really pointed on her questions, and she let the candidates kind of talk. So it was actually a constructive debate last night, for what it's worth. If there's anybody that was looking for a constructive, thoughtful debate, it was. And I thought the mute button only came into play one time when Trump kind of trailed off a little bit there on one question. But I think everybody was respectful. I think Biden got a little pissed off and angry at a certain point in the game. But, you know, that's only because he has really no substance to stand on. It's really just talking points. Anyway, that was my perspective, for what it's worth, guys.